This is the plaintiff, Lauren Solander. She says she had to board her dog Rooster at the defendant's facility because she needed to go out of town, and while Rooster was there, he was bitten by another dog. No one even called her to tell her what happened. She had to find out about it when she picked him up. And this guy needs to pay her for the vet bills and expenses she now has, in the amount of $1,344.35. This is the defendant, Jack Lavasio. He says Rooster tried to steal food from another dog and a little scuffle broke out. He checked Rooster out thoroughly. He had no bite marks and he wasn't bleeding. He runs a cage-free facility. He did nothing wrong and is simply not liable for the behavior of the plaintiff's dog. He's accused of bad boarding.
All parties, please raise your right hand. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Williams presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Solander, you're suing Tiny Treasure Puppies, also known as Wilton Waggarts?
Correct.
Okay. Owned by Mr. Lavasio?
Yes.
All right. For $1,344.35 in vet bills and reimbursement of your boarding fee because your dog was bitten under his care. Can you tell me, how is it that you... Oh, what a cute dog. What's your dog's name?
His name is Rooster.
Rooster. And how old is Rooster?
He's almost 10.
Okay. And have you boarded Rooster at that facility before?
Yes.
How many times?
Boarding, I'd say maybe twice before, but he was a frequent flyer in daycare for a couple of months.
Okay, daycare. All right, because you would leave the dog there to socialize while you...
I was working in the area.
Working. Okay. All right, so what happened?
Good question. I had my dog at the boarding facility because my mom was ill. It was a last-minute thing. Jack had taken care of Rooster before, so I felt somewhat comfortable bringing him there again. Of note, he's got separation anxiety, which he takes medicine for, so I'm a little more concerned with him. So I texted him every day, asking him how he is, how is he? Everything's fine, he's great, he remembered us, all's well. Okay, I come back to pick him up, and he wasn't there. They bring him up, and they said, we just want to let you know that he was bit. And they show me a mark on the back.
Do you have pictures of it when... Is this the picture of it when you saw it? Or this is after it's shaved at the vet?
That was after it was shaved at the vet.
Do you have any pictures of it as you saw it on when they returned the dog to you?
No,
Okay, I gotcha. All right, so go on.
And they said, well, Jack said to just put some bacitracin on it. It's no big deal. And, you know, all is well. I took him home, and he clearly was not himself. He was lethargic. His voice was hoarse. He just wasn't himself. And I thought, well, maybe it's just the stress of, you know, playing all day or whatever else. I texted him, and he says, well, he was fine when I left him. Well, the next day, I'm, you know, massaging him. He's a lap dog, so he's always on my lap. And I feel this lump on his neck. And I said, And I thought, well, maybe
had you put the back to what?
Bacitracin?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't notified of anything on his neck, only on his back.
Okay, so what did you feel on his neck?
It was a lump.
Okay.
It was a lump on his neck.
Was that from an infection from the?
Well, it turned out to be, yes.
Yeah. All right. So they're not going to notify you because it wasn't there yet.
Right.
So the answer is no, that you hadn't put the bacitracin.
I put the bacitracin on the back.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, I did.
All right. So go on.
But the neck, I didn't because I didn't know anything about the neck. So I thought, well, maybe it was just due to, you know, how they play bite, whatever. The next day, I felt it again, and then I looked closely, and I see that it's oozing substance, and I said, oh, no, this is not good.
So are you saying there was another bite mark in the neck?
That's what it turned out to be.
Okay.
So I rushed him to the vet at that point. It was a Saturday. My vet had already closed. I went to the emergency vet, and they said, I thought it was only going to be a couple $100 visit. They said, oh, no, this is an infected bite. We need to go in there. We need to put him under and see what's going on. And he required stitches. And they said, that was definitely a bite
So
wound.
the stitches didn't happen in the back. The stitches happened in the neck?
It happened on the neck. So what turned out, the back wasn't really much of anything. It was the neck that was the issue.
And neither the
No one told me anything
workers
about
that were there nor you noticed the neck until the next day?
Well, I didn't even think to look at the neck because he just told me, well, not he.
Well, the
but
dog is about a foot long. I mean, and it's a lap dog, so you're
lap dog,
constantly
a foot
feeling it up. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, so go on.
So while he was there being anesthetized, I call up the defendant to let him know, hey, I'm here at this hospital. This is what's going on. I'm really upset that, this is going to be, a really expensive visit. And
Had it been a couple of $100 like you thought it would be, would you have expected him to pay?
Either way, I would have thought he would have wanted to do something, being that it happened under his watch and at the facility. And I can backtrack, and when I asked how did it happen, they said, well, it was overfeeding. And I said, oh. And I have a text where he said, they were feeding, and I looked up and I noticed that, a fight ensued, and I'm saying, looked up, so you're feeding them in the same facility.
I'm sorry, hold on. I need to understand a little bit more about where you think you left your dog. What kind of, is it a home or is it, no, it's a business.
It's a business.
And did you think your dog would be caged?
No.
Okay, so you knew your dog would be in
caged.
contact with other dogs.
Yes, obviously, but not
Okay.
while feeding.
Not while feeding.
No.
Where are they going to put him if they don't have cages?
Well, I'm in separate areas or in kennels just at the time of feeding.
But are there kennels in this place?
I'm a cage-free facility.
So there's no kennels. So where would they put him?
Well, a gate, something that separates them while they're eating, or
How do you,
not feed them.
I guess because your assumption is that while they're eating is a more dangerous time than while they're playing and roughhousing and.
The plaintiff claims her dog Rooster was bitten by another dog at the defendant's kennel, and the guy refuses to pay for the vet bill she now has due to his negligence. The defendant says the plaintiff's dog Rooster tried to steal another dog's food, and a little scuffle broke out. It was no big deal. Let's listen.
Tell me how it happened. What happened here?
Basically, it was dinner time. The dogs were being fed. I spaced the food bowls far enough apart where I was comfortable nothing was going to happen. They were about between 4 and 5 feet apart.
How many dogs were you taking care of at once?
At that time, there was 3.
Okay.
I put the food bowls down. I was standing. I was watching, and they were eating. And then all of a sudden, I heard a growling. I looked down, and Rooster was all the way over at the other dog's food bowl, and I saw the other dog go for him.
Okay, so you're not staring at them while they're feeding.
I mean, I was standing there. I was within their feet, but I don't.
Right. So and you notice it. How long is the growling going on before you separate?
Not even 5 seconds. My left hand pushed the dog that bit Rooster off, and Rooster was in my right arm.
Okay. So how do you find where the injury was?
I immediately walked him to the back. I put him on my grooming table, and I started examining him and looking at him.
Did you
and
see
feeling
anything
him.
on the neck?
And I saw on
The back.
top, on his back, that
Wait. I'm sorry. You just went like this. Is it on the back of the dog down here or on the neck?
No, on the back of his neck, between the shoulder blades.
Okay. Is that what the employees showed you?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
So basically, I saw that he did have, a puncture, a tooth mark, and I took peroxide, I took cotton ball, I cleaned it really well. I checked the dog for any other, injuries anywhere. I didn't see absolutely nothing. I put the dog down. I was watching him. Within 5 minutes, his tail was wagging. He was running around, playing with all the other dogs again, and that was it. I thought he was fine.
Did you notify her?
This happened Monday night at dinner time. I knew she was picking Rooster up Tuesday morning, and I knew she was driving from North Florida.
So you didn't want to upset her.
So I said, you know what, there's no reason getting her upset. If there's nothing, to get her upset about, we'll just, let her know, and I'll show what happened when she comes to pick the dog up.
Apparently there was something to get upset about because she ended up with vet bills to the tune of $1,200. So what say you about that?
Well, first of all, I didn't hear, once she took the dog home, I thought everything was fine. We didn't hear anything till Saturday.
Okay, so what day did she take the dog home?
Tuesday.
That's
So
not
Wednesday,
true.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
You
Yes.
took the dog to the vet on Saturday, October 15th. So you picked up the dog October 11th, and 1, 2, 3, 4 days later, the infection needs to be treated.
I waited 4 days because I came back Tuesday night, Wednesday and Thursday. It was just like bothering him a little bit, the neck, but there was no, it was just a lump. So like I said, I thought it was, just something that had to do with he was play biting another dog. But then when it came time to Saturday, I said, I can't wait anymore because he's not right.
So when did you notice he wasn't right?
He wasn't right from the minute he got home.
Then why didn't you take him to a vet sooner than an emergency situation on Saturday? Emergency vets are a lot more than your own vet.
Right.
You know that.
Because-
So why didn't you just take him? If he wasn't right, then why aren't you taking the dog to a vet?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because he has separation anxiety, and any time that he's left out of my sight for more than a day, it can take him up to a week, 2 weeks to come to himself. So I'm thinking that, this is part of his separation anxiety. He's just going to get better with time.
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. The plaintiff is pissed at the defendant, claiming the defendant hid the fact that Rooster had been bitten at his kennel, and she only found out when she picked up the dog. But the defendant says that he did nothing wrong. He runs a cage-free facility and owes nothing. Let's go back into the courtroom and find out what Judge Milian thinks.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have contracts that people fill out?
Yes, I do.
All right. Did you submit that into evidence?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you have a waiver of liability in it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I ask that because once you've taken the trouble to have a contract, you usually would put a waiver of liability. By signing this agreement, the owner agrees to hold Wilton Waggarts, its owners, operators, employees, officers, directors, etc., harmless from any damages, losses, or claims arising from any condition or ailment of the undersigned pet. And that's your signature, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have one from this? This is from
2000.
6/25/2015. Do you have one from this boarding?
No, once a client signs a contract, it goes into their file.
And you don't make them sign it
We
each and
don't
every
make it
time?
each
Right.
and every
Otherwise,
time.
you'd have them signing it every day if
No,
it's
because
daycare.
some of the clients
I got
come
it.
for daycare.
I got it. So,
every day.
but here's the thing. Like, even if this contract with your waiver didn't exist, okay, I would like for you to explain to me what he did wrong.
He wasn't looking after the dogs while they were eating. I mean, he even said on one of his texting, by the time I looked up, a fight ensued.
Yeah, we're going to assume that he's not staring down the dogs while they're eating. I'm going to assume that. But you are boarding your dog in a place where there is no requirement to keep the dog separate from other dogs. And you are gone for how long?
Three nights?
Right. So do you expect him to be staring at all 3 dogs at the same time for the whole 3 days? Right. It's impossible. There's a certain assumption of risk on your part when you decide that you're going to board your dog in a happy place where there's other pets and running around. And because I don't want my dog in a cage for 3 days either. So, but don't you think that you are assuming animals are animals?
Right.
What we do is we don't punish animals for being animals. We punish the humans for negligence. So tell me what he did wrong. He had the dogs together, and they're supposed to be together. You know that they're together. And whether it's feeding time or other time, dogs are, it's not like you boarded your dog in a kennel and he allowed your dog to be around another dog that wasn't supposed to happen. That's not the situation we have. And aside from that, even if I were to find negligence on his part, you sign a waiver. But okay. I don't even need to get to the waiver because I don't find negligence on his part.
Okay, here's my thing.
Yeah.
Does a waiver just absolve you altogether of any reasonable...
No, you can have a waiver, and you can there's things you can waive and things you can't. Gross negligence you could never waive. If you decided to have dog fighting or something, you can't waive gross negligence. I have to be honest with you, I don't even get to the contract because in a situation like this, we all know when we are boarding up. Did you even know the other dogs?
No.
Right. So
yes.
there is a certain assumption
yes
of
no.
risk, okay? Are the other dogs your dogs or other people's dogs?
Other people's dogs.
So did she know the other dogs?
No.
No, they're, just, what?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so if dogs are eating, it's okay free-for-all? They can just all eat together?
No, it's not free-for-all. If there had been a vicious attack that resulted in something, now I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say what everyone's thinking. If there had been a vicious attack that went on and he's not even in the room, that would be a liability. That would be, you know what? That's negligence. But I got to tell you that I think that the reason this dog had an infection is because you waited 4 days to take the dog to the vet. I'm very sorry. And the reason it was $1,000-something is because it was a Saturday. You should have taken your dog to the vet as soon as you noticed a difference in the dog. And if it looked good enough for you, it looks good enough for me. Verdict for the defendant.
So the plaintiff does not collect the $1,300 in vet bills from the defendant that she was hoping to get back, or rather get. Let's see what she has to say. Ms. Sullender, you heard the judge. She thinks the problem is you didn't take Rooster to the vet the next day.
Yes.
How do you respond to that?
This dog has separation anxiety, and so anytime I leave him for more than a day, it can take him up to a week to come to himself. So I just thought that was more of the same.
Well, I'm sorry. I gather you're not going to take Rooster there again. Am I right? How is Rooster, by the way? How is he now?
He's better physically, but emotionally, he's still not himself. So I'm hoping still with time he'll get better.
Well, listen, I'm sorry he got injured. No one likes to see a puppy injured, you know,
Yeah.
but that's the judge's verdict. You got to live with it.
I
okay?
respect it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Good enough. All right. Let's talk to the defendant now, who runs a cage-free facility. Very interesting. Mr. Lavasio, how does that work? The dogs are free all the time? Is that about right?
Yes, they are. They're in a big open environment with lots of toys and things to keep them, busy and occupied while they're staying with us.
And you never have any problem with the, quarrels between the dogs?
We do, but like I said, we're close enough to break up any disagreements.
Well, congratulations. You're off the hook.
Well, Doug, you should know these contracts that say that the defendant is not responsible for negligence, they're enforceable. They're very common at parking lots where valets take your car and at car washes. So when you go to a place like that, you should know that even if they're negligent and they damage your property, unless it's gross negligence, they're not responsible.
What was your last unexpected stranger encounter?
Well, you run into people who you either know or you know somebody who knows them everywhere, right? And about 2 or 3 years ago, when we were on that trip, we had this bucket list trip to go to the Galapagos Islands off the coast of Ecuador, right? 2,000 miles from Miami. And we were on this kind of a small ship, and we're going out to sea, and there were only about 20 people from all the four corners of the earth on the ship, maybe 25. And I struck up a conversation with this woman, and next thing I know, she's from Buffalo, and she's from a smaller town where I grew up or was near. And I said, what's your last name? And she told me, and I go, oh my God, you have a brother named Paul? She goes, yeah. I go, I was in your house 50 years ago. How's your mom doing? And it was just amazing.
It was.
Really, on the other side of the earth, what are the odds?
Yeah.
So how about you? You probably...
Not really. I mean, there was once a lady that I ran into when I had, maybe I was on the show for a year or two, and so it was a long time ago, and I walk out of a grocery store, and a lady says, Marilyn! And she was so happy.
Gives you a big hug.
Gives me a big hug, so I hug back, do the Cuban air kiss, and she's like... and that moment where you're trying to decide whether to just go with the flow or say, I'm sorry, who are you?
Right.
And I was kind of just going with the flow. She goes, you don't remember me, do you? Oh my God, I felt
bad
so bad.
feeling, right? You're
I
like,
felt
oh my
so
God,
rude.
this is
I
a
felt
close friend,
so
and I've
bad.
forgotten. Was a close friend.
I look at her and I'm like, I decided to come clean. I said, I'm so sorry. Help me out.
Right.
Tell me where I know you from. And she goes, we went to 4th grade together.
Fourth grade?
I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's a few
years
years
ago. I
ago.
don't remember, to bring home penicillin from my children 2 days ago,
Right.
and you are expecting me to remember from 4th grade?